Hey there, welcome to the Five Voices Bootcamp. I am excited to welcome you into today's demo of an exciting new workshop that we are offering teams as we introduce what the five voices can mean to your team, to your organization in improving your people strategy. So let's take a look and dive in at this bootcamp. So here is our team performance score or metric. And this tool helps us understand the building blocks of high-performing teams. Communication is where we start in the boot camp, but if you look at the bottom, execution and alignment, or in order, alignment and execution. This tool builds in a clockwise motion from communication to relationships, alignment, execution, and capacity. Most teams with laughable predictability run into a problem and they immediately go to alignment. Who can we move in or out of this team? How can we merge these teams, separate teams, create something organizationally, structurally, and then move into execution? Alignment, execution, alignment, execution. And no matter what the problem is, no matter what's going on, teams move back and forth with laughable predictability across industries, across the globe. Any kind of organization, that's how we respond. But communication is the true foundational building block. And if you don't have clear, common language as a foundation on which you can build healthy relationships, you're not going to get anywhere. So that's where we go with this tool, is in getting to communication. So our communication tool is the five voices, and this is an actual team that we led a boot camp with a few weeks ago as an introduction, a way for them to get to know the tool, begin to benefit their team. So here are the five voices. You see icons at the top, the five names. There's a volume meter, which talks about the forcefulness and persuasion in our communication. We know from research and data how much of the population is made up in each voice. And then at the bottom, you see team members represented of how the team shook out in this particular team. So the nurturers are quiet, they're reserved, they're very people focused, very keen on relational harmony and making sure values are kept in alignment. They will care, they will celebrate, they will recognize the other people on the team, but in their forcefulness or lack thereof, they're not very persuasive in communication. They don't want to disrupt the relationship. They're very present-oriented, people here and now, today in front of them, and who they are around on an everyday basis. 43% of the population are nurturers, which should make all of us feel pretty good that there are that many nurturing, caring, people-oriented people around us. Now, creatives, a little bit more forceful, but not that much, only make up 9% of the population. And these are the most future-oriented voices out there. They're thinking about future ideas, scanning the horizon. What are the possibilities? What could be going on right here in the coming weeks, months, years? They're going to see future ideas, want to innovate, and also have this sense of organizational integrity, social conscience. If there is a value that the organization claims to hold that is being trampled on, the creatives are going to become the most vocal about this. They want to see the future. They want to see what's out there in a perfectionist tendency. Their drive is towards perfection, trying to get their idea, what they are seeing out in the horizon, to become this powerful reality in the present. So they constantly drive to that level of perfection of what they envision in their minds. Now, ever so slightly more persuasive, more forceful are the guardians. The guardians have this shield of right, truth, process. They do their due diligence. They have deadlines. They have goals. They have expectations. They know what to expect, and they will ensure that the team and the organization stick to that. 30% of the population are guardians, another present-oriented voice. And together with the nurturers, guardians and nurturers make up nearly 3/4 of the population. That's our present-oriented voices, here and today, not as keen on future and vision and goals, but they can get there. But that's an important reality that we'll see again here in a minute. So that's the guardian. The connectors are also, like nurturers, very people-oriented, but people in terms of possibilities. What connections can we make? What can we orchestrate in our relational networks? The passions that people have, how can we awaken in them that collaborative possibility and bring people together to ignite their shared passion? And the connector will maintain a Rolodex in their mind, not of just names and contacts, but how did I get to know you? In what context did I get to know you? How can we file away some information on what you're passionate about and what your drive is? And then they're very effective communicators. They are really good at seeing the future, the possibilities, and being able to communicate that. Now, 11% of the population are connectors, future-oriented. Then together with the pioneers, creatives, connectors, pioneers are those future-oriented voices that only make up 27% of the population. So pioneers are future-oriented like creatives, but they see the peak of a mountain and they want to blaze a trail, align the resources to get there as efficiently as possible. They can put all the pieces together into a plan, see that vision, want to win and accomplish the goal, stake that flag on top of the mountain peak and win. Very future-oriented, very driven. And you see this volume and persuasiveness can almost push the limits too far. If you think of an old stereo system where the sound got a little scratchy once it got up into the red, that can be a pioneer sometimes. So driven, so forceful, so persuasive that sometimes it can be overwhelming. Well, let's put these 5 voices in a different visual. You see at the top, you have people who make decisions based on people and values. At the bottom, systems and logic. On the left, present-oriented in the here and the today, future-oriented thinking and dreaming, conceptualizing, conceiving ideas about the future. Now you see in the middle, there are dotted lines that crisscross. And so as you look from the bottom left, this crisscross line to the top right, or from the top left to the bottom right, anytime you have these opposite quadrants, that's ripe for conflict. It's also ripe for the potential of collaboration and where we can most benefit from tapping into another voice. Now, the way I like to describe this for a team is optimally you have all of the voices represented so that as you look at an issue, imagine there's an issue sitting right there in the crosshairs in the middle of those 2 axes. You are getting a good, well-rounded perspective of what could be, what we need to tackle, what we need to be mindful of, how we can make this plan come to life, come to fruition. But we can't do that when there's constantly conflict within the team, when there's disagreements based on what you see here as differences in perspectives. I'll tell you an example. You see VW down here in the Guardian quadrant, and we'll use JF in the top right quadrant. Different client, different organization. We had this conversation about these 2 individuals, both department managers, who had a conflict with each other. The connector is a little more forceful than the guardian, but the guardian has that rightness and that truth, what they know the process to be, what the expectations are supposed to be. And the challenge for those 2 in that relationship was the connector said, hey, people first, I don't want to disrupt the relationship, so I will just defer to the other person. They were having a conflict, and in their communication, they were just missing each other. With this framework, they now had an ability to see, oh, we're looking at things from completely opposite worldview perspectives. I'm processing information very differently than you. It took it from being anger and relationally driven to there is a problem here, to having that common language and understanding. Remember that building block of team performance, of healthy, clear communication, they had a way to describe what was going on in objective language, not subjective feelings, thoughts, emotions that were brought into that. So with that objective understanding, they were able to clarify and see the potential of why they needed to tap into and lean on each other. I've seen time and time again nurturers and pioneers who will naturally see some disconnect in how they see the world. They'll often struggle, nurturers especially, because pioneers will just drive. But there will be a disconnect. The nurturers will wonder, why is the pioneer being so driven and forceful? And it's exemplified by being in opposite quadrants, this nemesis view. But there's also the greatest potential for collaboration and working together. So this is the tool that lays the groundwork for maximizing team performance. What we found is most teams function at less than 60% of their potential. When we measure a team based on these 5 metrics, most teams across the globe, across industries, across the size of the business, a team functions at less than 60% of their potential. If we can focus on these, if we can establish clear communication, healthy relationships, build alignment, begin to execute, we can get to a place of increasing capacity and reaching the next level with our team performance. That has a significant cost effect for a team. And if we can increase that score, we can have some positive effects. And so we begin with the assessment of the 5 voices, getting to know ourselves and who's on the team. But then we assess the team. We benchmark the reality of what you're sensing, what you're experiencing with data. We identify specific growth opportunities, demonstrating progress as we measure this quarter by quarter. And we're being intentionally effective. We're not just throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. We're working hard based on data of our team performance to increase our team's performance, expectations, output, profits, goals, all of those ingredients of high-performing teams. And so we do that through our virtual platform. And if you're interested in holding a boot camp with your team, kickstarting this process with us, just go to aaronlee.co/5 voices. That's a shortcut. You can go take the 5 voices assessment right now yourself, begin to understand your own voice, and see how that might fit into understanding how your team functions, how your team operates, starting with how you function, how you communicate, how you handle conflict, how stress affects you. All of those pieces go into how and why we experience things in our team the way that we do. So kickstart that free experience and let me know what questions you have. Would love to continue the conversation. Thanks for watching, and I hope this tool of the 5 voices will go a long way to helping you jumpstart your team's performance.